The NHL season is almost here. We've got preseason hockey going down right now, and our NHL betting experts, they are ready for all the action. The all-new VSIN NHL betting guide is out right now with strategies on betting all 32 teams. You got Stanley Cup odds and predictions out, of course, best bets. Start your VSIN Pro subscription today. You're able to do so for as low as $9.99. That reserves you this copy of this fine guide. Plus, you get access to everything that we do here at the network. Daily best bets, top-rated betting systems, 24/7 video access, and the exclusive betting splits showing you where the money and the bets are moving on every single game. You don't want to miss out. The NHL betting guide, I know that our guy Adam Burke was very hard at work on this, did a tremendous job. Sign up for just $9.99 for your first month over at VSIN.com/subscribe. That is VSIN.com/subscribe. As we're back here on Cashing Out on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network, Greg Hoops Peterson holding it down for Joe tonight, and we've got Tony Cutillo aboard. He does such a great job over at SiriusXM, taking a look at the fantasy side of things, and I know you've got some player props all ready to go here in week number 4, and I want to start it off here just for kicks because you've got a kicker prop that has made your card for this week. So take me through it because these are some of the bets that I absolutely love, going a little bit, shall we say, off the radar and trying to be able to find some money there.
That's the thing, especially on a Thursday night where it's a short week. Players are tired. You don't always get the best product on the field. And this is a kicker only have one attempt, right? He fills in for Graham Gano. He gets signed off the practice squad. He comes in, he only gets one kick, and he misses it, by the way. Really got Brian Dave a little mad. But he'll be back on the side this week. I think he'll get back on track. And I'm looking at a defense in Dallas that really couldn't stop anybody anyway. So if they do stop him, I do think that Greg Joseph has an opportunity. And the reason why I like this, Greg, I always bet the over 1.5 if they're plus money on a kicker. That's just me. I don't care who the kicker is. I don't care who the matchup is. Right now, this is plus money. If you can give me over 1.5 field goals made from a kicker at plus money, I'm taking it every time.
Especially with this New York Giants offense, where Malik Neighbors has been able to do a tremendous job, but it's hard to have any faith in Daniel Jones. Even with the last 2 weeks, him looking quite a bit better. I do think that there's going to be a lot of settling for field goals. If he just bangs through 2 of them, you're able to get yourself a nice cash, and the juice is on the under, so you're able to get some good value there. And then, speaking of the New York Giants, we've got Devin Singletary, who's had himself a pretty nice year thus far, trying to fill the shoes of Saquon Barkley. You're not going to be doing that as one person, but with Saquon Barkley being out for the Giants, that's left a little bit of a void in terms of being able to catch a ball out of the backfield, and you seem to think that Daniel Jones is going to be looking his way quite a bit in terms of passing game this week.
Yeah, one thing that Dallas Cowboys still have, obviously with Micah Parsons, is they do have a pretty formidable pass rush. And you know as well as anybody, if you know the game of football, if the quarterback gets rushed, he gets a simple outlet either to the tight end or the running back. Last week, Singletary 443, looked very elusive, looked very quick, and he still has it. I mean, listen, he would have had a bigger game if he didn't slide down at the end of the game to preserve time, or he could have scored easily, but he didn't do it. So, and not to mention, did you see what Derrick Henry did against the Dallas Cowboys last week? So, or I should say this week. I mean, it's a big matchup set up for him. Right now, his over 60.5, it's at -115. So it's showing. I can guarantee you by kickoff, it'll probably be -125 or -130 because it's a very attainable number for a running back of that capability.
And I do want to follow up with this as well, because with the Dallas Cowboys, we came into the season thinking that this was going to be one of the better defenses in all of football. In terms of the fantasy side of things, in terms of a lot of player props, is this a defense that you want to be going against right now? Because it just doesn't feel like the same unit from a season ago, and a lot of people don't look at changing coordinators as being a big deal, but I think that has made a world of difference this year for the Cowboys.
From somebody who's gone through coordinators twice in the past 3 years in Philadelphia, it does make a world of difference. And something's just completely off on that team, Greg. Offensively and defensively, they should be so much better than they are on both sides of the ball, and they're just not mentally into it. And I think what's happening is the defense is pressing so much because they thought they were going to come in and have a prolific offense that was going to be top 5, top 7 in the NFL, and they're not. So now they have to completely change course. They're pressing because they know they can't give up a ton of points, and unfortunately they are. So it's just a bad product in Dallas right now, and definitely one it wasn't expected.
Yep, for the Dallas Cowboys, there was the old saying back from Oregon last season, they're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys have certainly been fighting and winning for clicks. Not so much for wins, but they certainly have been able to get the clicks, as we've got Tony Cutillo. He does a tremendous job over on SiriusXM on the fantasy side of things, joining me right here on Cashing Out. And I do think that it's going to be really interesting as well to see how the passing game for the Cowboys has been, because this feels like it's been the most rock solid part of them thus far. Granted, it was a little too late against the Baltimore Ravens, but Dak Prescott has been able to do a nice job airing it out here in the first few weeks. How do you take a look at him in this game against a New York Giants pass rush that we thought was going to be pretty solid coming into the season, was looking quite a bit better against the Browns, but certainly has been, shall we say, a little bit sketchy thus far?
Yeah, it really has. Listen, and again, it wasn't crazy numbers, but Deshaun Watson had a pretty good game last week. He threw 2 touchdowns against this New York Giants defense. So he can throw 2 touchdowns right now. There's no way in you know what that Dak Prescott can't throw 2 or more touchdowns. I think this is going to be a huge game for Dak Prescott. He has 90 attempts. He threw the ball 51 times last week. 90 attempts in 2 games. He's just airing it out, and he's getting everybody involved. I think this is going to be a 325 plus and 3 touchdown game for Dak. So I'm definitely taking the over 1.5 touchdowns easily by a landslide.
Yep, absolutely. And when you've got the ghost of Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield, you know what? You're going to need to air out the ball a little bit, and CeeDee Lamb is going to be getting a lot of those targets. I don't think I'm breaking any news there, but there's a lot of passes to go around to the other guys. Who do you think outside of CeeDee Lamb might be getting some of these targets on Thursday Night Football?
If you listened last week, which I'm sure people did, they picked up Jalen Tolbert off the waiver wire because I kept telling everybody that he's the priority. He's the guy. This is the guy that's sliding in to that wide receiver 2 role. He's a breakout third-year wide receiver candidate. He's been playing really well, establishing himself. He's out-producing and out-snapping Brandon Cooks, who originally was going to be that number 2 guy. So, again, 9 receptions in those last 2 games. This is the guy I want to target. Over 2.5 receptions. I think it's like literally, it's a give me. I don't want to say lock. I hate saying lock, but over 2.5. And I might get cute here, Greg. I like to do a triple leg combo bet on these receivers, and sometimes they work out. His over for yards is 32, and I think he's going to score. So I might do a 3-leg parlay for the same game at over 2.5, plus 32, and plus anytime touchdown. Probably get you around plus 400. So really good hit if it goes through.
And then I want to ask you about this guy as well. I'm not sure if you're buying stock, selling stock, or just sort of holding on him right now, but Kevontae Turpin has been a really good story for the Dallas Cowboys. He's a guy of intrigue, and he's seen a few catches already thus far this season. Is he a guy that might be worth a target, or do you need to see a little bit more before you can believe in him?
No, I actually really like him a lot. I mean, he scored last week as well, and I like the reason why I like him is the same reason why I like Tutu Atwell for the LA Rams, because it's a guy to kind of do everything, right? And when an offense is struggling and is trying to find its way, what happens? They change the game script a little bit. They get cute, they get creative, and that's going to fly right into Turbin. So I mean, between Turbin and Tolbert, I think TNT connection is something to really look forward to, because Brandon Cooks just isn't it right now. So it's going to be CeeDee Lamb and those 2 guys, and on the shoulders of Dak Prescott. So again, 51 attempts last week. So Greg, there's a lot of balls to be thrown around in Dallas.
Absolutely, and we've been giving all the love to the offensive side of things, all the love to scoring points, what have you, but as we know in the NFL, first 3 weeks of the season, the unders have been hitting at north of a 55% clip, and we've been seeing unders hitting at a pretty high clip in the NFL over the last 3 seasons. So I want to ask you about this man in Eric Kendricks, who he gets lost in all the hoopla that we see from more of these stars on the Dallas Cowboys defense, and you seem to think that he might be able to have a big week this week as well.
Yeah, listen, this is another one of those plays. I like IDPs. I started as an IDP guy, individual defensive player analyst for fantasy football. So I go back to the well every now and then. And Eric Kendricks is the 4th best linebacker in fantasy right now. And his over 8.5. Now, make sure you get this right. It's got to be tackles plus assists. A lot of people just think it's tackles. No, over 8.5 tackles plus assists. He smashed this number by 12 last week. He's 2-3 his last 2 or 3 games. He smashed this number, and we just talked about Singletary, the running game, Daniel Jones on the ground. So minus 105. This is a really strong play for the defensive side of the ball for Dallas Cowboys.
I absolutely love it. And Tony, I know that you're doing such a great job on so many different fronts over there at SiriusXM, taking a look at daily fantasy, overall season-long fantasy, player props, and so much more. And it was great to get you aboard tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you having me on, man. Have a good week.
Absolutely. Tony joins all throughout the season here on VSIN. He does a tremendous job taking a look at so many different things. And whether you're looking at fantasy, whether you're taking a look at some props for this week, he's got a whole boatload of information. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what we get in week 4 of the NFL, where it feels like things are a little bit jumbled up. Guess where things are also jumbled up as well? This MLB playoff picture, it is not set. I've been doing my write-ups here at VSIN for quite a while, and I'll get you guys my write-up for the Wednesday card up next, right here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.